Welcome back. Is it week 7? Episode 7? Yeah. Of
Episode
Yeah.
7.
the Michael and Della show featuring Beck as the first returning guest of the podcast.
Yay! It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be included again.
And
Thank you
it's
so
a very
much.
special episode. It's the election day today, as of recording and releasing. Thought we'd do a little special. Uh, there's going to be some news coming out very shortly, but we'll release this just if you need to kill some time or take your mind off of the election.
Cast your votes, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you haven't already
Go out
voted,
and vote
there's,
if you haven't.
Vote.
there's 20 US states where you can do day of voting, so you can still vote in a lot of different states. So double
Yeah.
check.
Beck, do you want to tell us about like what you're doing like as a job at all? Is like a little connection to the election?
Yeah. Well, I work as a journalist for CNN. And thanks, guys.
Cool.
In my, in my normal day to day, I work as a graphics producer. But today I have a special job because we have like a very like elite group working on the graphics that I unfortunately do not have the experience yet to be on, which is totally okay. But I'm going to be competition tracking, so looking out for what else is going on.
That's okay, because today you also have a very special job of
That's true.
guest starring
That's very
on
true.
the Michael and Ellis show.
Which is
It's
by
very
far
true.
more important.
Yeah,
It's so true. Yeah.
yeah.
It's
The
the
future
most
of our country depends on this podcast.
so true. Yeah.
Very
It's
true.
so true.
All right,
So,
let
Ellis,
me.
do you want to give us a little recap of what
Yeah,
happened?
yeah. So it's we're coming off. Oh my god, who? Oh my god, I'm already blanking. Who went home
Oh,
right before Yana?
Rome.
Rome. It was Rome. Okay, yeah. Okay. We're off the fallout of the downfall of Rome. And Andy confronts Soul about his little security vote onto Andy. They seem to patch it up, potentially some foreshadowing for this upcoming episode tomorrow. But we get into the challenge. They're split into two tribes or two teams. I was wrong. I thought there was going to be a double boot, but there was actually just one team was going. It ended up being the blue team. Kyle won immunity on that team. Keeney and Genevieve were the ones that outlasted him on the yellow side. So props to them. Blue team is literally all of the blue original tribe, including Rachel, which sucked for her. But
Yeah.
she got a saving grace when Soul found an advantage at the reward feast that gave him the choice to give someone either oh my god, I'm forgetting the names, but it was a block of vote and it was the power
Safety without power.
safety without power. Thank you. And Rachel went with safety without power, of course, just to guarantee her safety. And then it was just a regular Tuvu tribal, and Tiana ended up going home. I don't know. I mean, me and Michael have been throwing Tiana's name out here for a while, so it might have been predictable for some people, or I guess people listening to this podcast. Yeah, what'd you guys think? Were you
Yeah.
surprised or sorry?
Yeah. No, you're good. I was almost disappointed as to how predictable it kind of ended up being because when it came down to Rachel was leaving the tribal, it kind of became clear that the three alliance that they had with Caroline, Gabe, and Sue was most likely the easiest path that they had in keeping that strong and then just taking out the loose end, which ended up being Tiana. I was a little disappointed that Caroline didn't end up taking a little risk and taking out Gabe, especially like with Gabe throwing Caroline's name out to Rachel before the tribal. So I'm interested to see like if Rachel will say anything to Caroline about like Gabe having thrown out her name at Tribal, so I feel like that'll be really interesting for the future to see how that kind of pans out. I think in the moment I was a little disappointed, but it was kind of predictable that it would end up being either Gabe or Tiana before Rachel even left.
Mm.
Or Rachel. But I think I think after she left it kind of became clear like, oh, this is probably gonna be Tiana. So
Beck, were you ever questioning if Rachel was going to use the block a vote?
I I kind of expected her to, just for the
Okay.
drama. Like, if I feel like I don't know, like, I feel like if I was in that position, I probably would have used a block a vote. But I also feel like there were too many loose ends that she was being told.
Mm.
Because it was like there was the one side that was saying vote Gabe, like get Gabe out, this is our only chance to do it. And then there was the other side, which was literally just Gabe being like Caroline. And then it was just like I feel like from her perspective, it was like, okay, there's like a good chance that I'm going out. But there's also like two stray like options that are available. So then it would be like if she even did block a vote, it would be like who would she block a vote of? I would say probably Gabe or Sue in her
Yeah.
perspective, like if she did end up using it, because it was like she had that
Right.
thing going with like Kyle and Tiana, and then there was the potential of Caroline switching, but um I don't know. I feel like even if she did block a vote, I'm not even completely sure that they wouldn't have still voted her out anyways. So who
What were
Yeah.
knows?
you what were you expecting, Michael?
I I mean, I even said last episode I thought Tiana was gonna go home. Um, so I honestly I don't know what it was, but it was the way that they edited her throughout the season, I think that just made me have that feeling. I was like, she had no storyline at all really besides anti-Gabe. That was like her whole thing. Was just like kind of throwing Gabe under the bus, like
Womp
consistently you
womp.
can see.
I will say
Like,
oh,
yeah.
sorry. I
No,
was
keep
just gonna
going.
say, going off of that point of, like, only being anti-Gabe, it kind of reminded me of, season 45. I forget her name, but she was, like, super anti-Bruce, and she ended up
Oh,
getting flipped.
Oh,
Katura.
good.
Yes. And so I was
Mhm.
like I was like, I feel like there is a chance that, like, in this, like, brawl, essentially a one-sided brawl, because it doesn't seem like Gabe really has many, like, feelings towards Tiana, at least from, like, what we're seeing.
Yeah.
I was like, there is a chance that she could pull a Katura and be able to get Gabe out and then last for a while in this game. Obviously it did not end up happening, but I was like, I wonder if that could possibly happen.
Yeah. I I don't know why, but it was just the fact that, like, I think the difference between Tiana and Katura for me was that Katura, they kind of made more funny. Like, they added more things of her. Like, anytime Bruce said some, like, dumb shit, Katura would have a confessional of literally just rolling her eyes. Like, they
Yeah.
incorporated her a lot more in, whereas Tiana felt, like, invisible most of the time, and then, like, randomly would come in and be like, "I think we should get Gabe out," and then she'd disappear again, and
if
then,
I
like,
yeah,
just it
if I
would just keep going like that. So I was like, I don't think she's gonna make jury. Like, I don't think she's gonna be like
Yeah.
a big character. And I think especially during the tribal, which was so heartbreaking when she was like, my dream is to just make jury, and then like,
uh she literally had like
boom,
the
I was
worst placement.
yeah, I was like, yep, she's going home. Like, I was just the part I was surprised the most about is her going home on a 4-1 vote. That I wasn't
Mm.
expecting.
I agree.
Well, I think it's very interesting. I think one potential reason why it was a 4-1 vote was because you had the like rest of the cast watching, spectating. If they weren't there, you can come back to the camp and make up whatever story you want, like to like
Yeah.
appear like I mean at this point they don't necessarily want to appear like unified. So if anything, Kyle
Yeah,
could have been like, Gabe, I'm just writing your name down to make us look like not a tight core. But
yeah,
Yeah.
that maybe that would
exactly.
get a little risky. I don't know.
I
I
mean,
feel like
that would have worked
also
out better, I feel.
yeah. Well, I also feel like from Kyle's perspective, like I remember Tiana saying at some point in the episode, like if we aren't like a sure front and if we don't get Gabe out this episode, he's gonna spend the rest of the game like plotting our downfall. So I feel like from Kyle's perspective, it's like, okay, like I know this is a sinking ship. I know this isn't gonna hit. So I might as well just like get Tiana out in this case and like at least appear like, oh, like Gabe wasn't my target, whatever. Like that was
Right.
just Tiana's idea, to like try and maintain that alliance.
One thing I will say is I think if there's anyone that was hurt the most by being at that tribal like and observed, I think it's gonna be Caroline
I
because
agree.
like you could see she was like in the middle. She was between Gabe and Sue and Kyle and Tiana. And like literally Andy literally said like, well it's either gonna be Tiana or Gabe and then like I think there's a spot of Teeny being like, oh she's like Caroline Teeny was saying like Caroline really doesn't know like what to do. Like they're really like contemplating. So like
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Not that we have to get into predictions like this soon, but I mean actually I guess should let's just take a quick look at the fantasy rankings. Um, let me I can send you guys the rankings as well. I also
Damn.
made a sheet. I sent it on Discord just for you guys. Um I
This
also
is actually devastating. This is devastating. This is actually the worst news of the day. That's crazy. Congrats,
yeah.
Michael. Yes.
I Beck you did um
This is beautiful.
I will say Caroline did get the fishy, which was pretty nice. So that was a
But
boost. That was an extra like 5 points for you.
I'd be
Um
surprised if you didn't. Like from
yeah.
all that she was put through that episode, like
I was ahead of Molly until Caroline was given the fishy, and I dropped back down again. Know that fire, the little fire icon is like right next to my name, but that is just for Christina, who has popped up into fourth place now.
damn.
But she also lost Tiana, so who knows? That might. I don't know. It's the rankings are interesting. Because we have a lot of people on the top now that have oh, did I mess up the names? Oh, I did make an error with the sheet. Sean is in second place with the him and Nina are tied. Sean is a tiebreaker because he has three people still in. Um, but in the thing, Nina's name is next to Sean's players. So disregard that, guys. I made a little mistake.
Well, oopsie.
Let's just act
Oh
like
my
it didn't even happen. Um,
crazy. Cancel him right now. Cancel in the comments.
yeah.
Can Sean just lose all his players now?
But yeah,
Yeah.
no. So Beck, I mean, this was a big episode for you. You're basically confirmed not to be the like last place.
Oh,
Let's go.
literally greatest day. The greatest day. Sorry, Adam. Much love. But also
Yes.
so happy. So happy I have lasted this long. Yeah, it's so funny because at the beginning of the season, like Caroline was not my first choice. And so I
Mhm.
was kind of like, well, I guess I'll choose Caroline. And now I'm like so happy I did because I legitimately really enjoy her, like the way that she thinks about the game. I will say, like, again, not to get too like prediction-y, but I think
Uh-huh.
like the ramifications of Caroline going with Sue and Gabe um could potentially be catastrophic, not with the people like the remaining people in Tuku, but potentially with like the rest of the people who are watching over it. Because I feel like especially with like the tentative girls alliance that was happening, I feel like her kind of being the linchpin that like got Tiana out could potentially have ramifications on the rest of the women of their
Yeah, I
perception
didn't
of
even
her.
think about that.
But it's also
Mm.
like, yeah. But I also like I understand from Caroline's position, like Sue is her number one ally. If she did anything to get Sue out, like for example, getting Sue's number two out and I guess her number two as well, it's
Yeah.
like she's like burning that bridge immediately. Cause especially since Sue is so loyal and so like, I don't know, so dependent on that type of loyalty, it's like there was no way for her to go against that.
I
Yeah.
have I have a question. Do you guys think Sue is more loyal to Caroline or Gabe?
Mm,
That's really interesting
that's
because
a really good question.
feel like I feel like the way that it's portrayed on the show and through editing is that she's
Hmm.
more loyal to Gabe,
I
but
think
I
you're right.
think that's misleading. I think she's actually
Really?
more loyal to Caroline.
Whoa, hot take.
And I
I
think
really
the edit purposely is misleading in that way. So it's more
Hmm.
shocking when
I
this is I'm big brain moding this right now. This is like insane. But I think Sue is gonna betray Gabe later on, and I think this
Mike,
is what like
I
I'm
feel
big brain moding this.
Michael's just
yeah,
trying to find a reason to like hope that Sue will blindside Gabe and not blindside Caroline.
Like
literally.
literally.
Like
Because like and my reasoning is because it shows more between like they show more between Gabe and Sue, but if we think about it, Gabe doesn't even know that Sue has an idol.
I was just about to say that.
Caroline
Yeah,
does.
That is
And
yeah,
true.
you can always see in the background Caroline and Sue talking. Everyone perceives them more as a duo than like Sue and Gabe. So I think in actuality, they talk more and spend more time together than like Sue and Gabe. And so
yeah,
I think through actions, that indicates more that they're closer. And I think they're trying to edit that to make it seem more like Sue is closer towards Gabe. And
yeah.
that's my opinion.
I
Okay.
do hope for my game and my game only that you're right. From a completely selfish standpoint, I
Not for
really hope you're right.
not for
Like,
Abby's game.
Not for
sorry, girl. She also doesn't like games, so it's like, um, what's one
literally.
player? Doesn't she
I
still have all three?
she no,
Oh
she
no,
lost
Serena has two.
she
Annika, right?
lost yes, she
Yeah, she
lost
lost
Annika.
Monica.
I just pulled up the player rankings, the individual player rankings. Caroline
Ooh.
is kind of in a middle ground, but granted, most of the people she's ahead of are people that have went home. But
Sierra.
maybe she's having a little Genevieve slow rise arc. You know, Genevieve is almost in the top 6. She's just outside of it. The top
This
third.
this does seem like the season of slow rises, I will say. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do you want me to read out I guess for the listeners, we have Sam in first with 75, Rome also 75, but I'll put him in second since he is not going anywhere. Andy was 70, Andy was 70, Sue was 66, Gabe was 64, Teeny was 63. Genevieve and Sol are not far behind. They're in the high 50s. Rachel and Kyle are both at 49, Kalen 46, Sierra 39. So I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know if I would say Sam or Andy would be like my top 2 picks to win the game right now, even though they're in the lead.
I don't agree with that. I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of the people who are like high ranking right now will probably get out soon. Cause
Hmm.
I mean, I feel like Sam has enough alliances with people, at least like friendship alliances, that he'll probably be able to last a little while. But I think at a certain point, somebody's gonna be like, he's literally like the beefcake. Like we gotta get him out, you know?
Well,
you gotta go.
we have
I mean,
seen
the same is applicable to Soul, but I don't know.
from Andy. This week might be the week of Andy's big move of taking out either Sierra or Sam.
And
Yeah.
this actually goes into my question
Oh.
that I have.
Oh my god.
So in last week and this week, in both of the previews, it shows Andy kind of being anti-Gata. And last week it was in the previews and it didn't even really show it didn't come to fruition this episode because no Gata members could be eliminated. Besides Rachel, but she was given
But
safety
she was
without power.
immunity.
Yeah. So but they really, really foreshadow it again in the preview this time. So my question was, are the previews overplaying Andy, or do you think he'll actually make a big move against one of the Gata members and they'll go home? Or do you think this is one of those red herring moments where it's like he talks that talk but doesn't have anything to back it up?
I think he could definitely try because I feel like I hate to say it, but it's also like I feel like he's had this before where he like was like, "Oh, I was the one who got Annika out." And like in reality, did he really? Like no. It was mostly Sierra deciding to vote with the
Yeah.
boys as opposed to voting with the girls. But regardless, I feel like he has been building up alliances with a couple of different people from different tribes, like Genevieve and Soul. But my thinking is at the moment, both of them don't really have many alliances outside of each other. And so I feel like he would definitely try and get different people to get on board, but it seems like from my perspective, if I were to get either Sam or Sierra out, I would want to get Sam out. At least from the surface, like he is like building a lot of relationships with people. And like he's the stronger of the two, so he's more likely to get immunity with those like strength challenges. So I don't know. I would lean towards getting him out. And I feel like that'd be harder because I feel like he's been building up a lot of relationships with people like Teeny and like obviously he still has strong ties with most of Gata, so I don't know if that would necessarily be possible to get so many people to switch.
I think it would definitely be possible if you get all of like the red tribe and anyone from blue,
Yeah.
and then you're like yourself, you could definitely do it. I agree with you. Like if I was in Andy's uh spot, I would probably try and go for Sam, but it's interesting because like Michael, you're talking about like this red herring. We have like Andy's setting up Andy's eventual like blind side of Gata, but we also have like there is like the girls alliance of like they there's the big confessional from Teeny of like we are going to get a man out, like that is going
Yeah.
to happen, and it ultimately didn't happen. It was shown on the teaser for last week.
Yeah.
So like yeah, like maybe that was the red herring last week. Is that going to continue to be the red herring? Like because on if Andy is going to blindside Gata, like he could go for Sam and the girls is the red herring, or he goes for Sierra and then both are true, that he does blindside Gata and a woman goes home. From Andy's perspective too, like would you've Sam's been your number one this whole time, but you're hearing from Soul that Sam was completely fine. Sam was like the one that threw your name out for the decoy vote.
Yeah.
So like maybe that's why we've seen Andy develop a relationship with Sierra with the shot in the dark, for that to make sense why he would take out Sam over Sierra. I don't know. Yeah, hard to tell.
Yeah, because I was curious because they seem to be building it up to like Andy having this big villain arc, and I wonder if they're because Andy is kind of like the goof, right? He's like the flop, like he messes up everything he's ever done. So I wonder if they're gonna play into that or if this is his big redemption moment.
I don't know, Michael. A lot of people have been saying like Andy might be a potential dark horse winner.
He's not winning.
Also,
I
I feel like
refuse.
like him trying to pull off a blindside could also very easily blow up in his face.
Yeah,
Where it's like,
absolutely.
especially if he chooses to target Sierra and the girls' alliance finds out, he's done for. Like,
Mm.
I
I
don't know.
will
In my
say,
opinion.
yeah, okay. In terms
Okay.
of it's in terms of fantasy, I would hope Sierra goes home. That would take Sean and Nina's teams down a peg, and Connor, who has Kyle. Like I got a lot of my competition here that like with my players are just people with high scores. They have Sierra, so
I would say Sean.
only Sean has Sam.
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say
want
like I feel like Sean would go down a peg regardless of who
Oh yeah,
uh,
absolutely. Sean,
wins.
watch out, Sean. You might have 3 players left, but your days are numbered.
You're thinking.
and they
Yeah.
need to be.
I mean, Sean and Connor are the only 2 people with 3 people left right now.
Connor. Oh wow.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Who does Connor have?
Connor has Sierra, Kyle, and Sue. Connor has a good team.
Oh, yeah, that is a really good team.
Like Sue has an idol.
Yeah.
Kyle didn't get a confessional in like episode 3, I think, but I still think he can make it really far.
I mean, he's crushing
Yeah.
these immunities right now, but that could prove to be a detriment.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could be like what's his face from last season who got out because he kept on winning. And it was
Caleb.
like
Or
no, it was the one like he like lost it was the guy.
Oh,
oh,
Bruce.
I had
Hunter.
him. Yes, thank you.
Oh,
Where he kept on winning and then he lost one and they're like, well, it's time.
I love how we had Bruce and Hunter be thrown out at the same time. It's like two completely different players.
Yeah.
Literally.
I think it was Bruce though, right? Wasn't everyone so annoyed he kept winning immunity?
That was
I think you're
2 seasons ago.
Oh,
Hunter was the
right.
crazy like challenge beast.
yeah.
I'm mixing up my seasons.
Hunter literally went like upside down on a pole to show off. That
Oh
was
my-
like,
Yeah.
Hunter, what are we doing
Yeah.
here?
Then he, yeah,
Both
that
have
was
him?
that was a choice.
The one where
Hmm?
you're like hanging on the little things, he literally wraps his legs around so he could he went completely upside down like before he dropped off and like was just showboating. It was like, what, Hunter, what are we doing here? Manage
Yeah.
your threat level. As you
Yeah.
know, two people who had Hunter on their fantasy team.
Yeah, it was like I got to the point where it was like, okay, like you're here, you need to go down to here.
Yeah.
It was also wasn't it right after like Tevin had gotten out and he kept on like skirting through because he kept on winning immunity challenges and then it
Well,
was
there
like
was- yeah, sorry.
no, I was just gonna say he finally didn't and then he didn't have his number one with him anymore, so it was like ooh.
And he was part of the idol train too. It was like
Oh, yeah.
Tiffany, Hunter, Venus, Q in some
Yeah.
order.
Yeah.
Q Venus, something like that. They all went home with idols in their pocket.
Yeah,
Back to back to
That
back to
was
back.
really aggravating. Yeah.
which was like crazy.
Yeah.
Especially for the fantasy rankings. I want to see some successful idol plays. Shake up the standings, you know?
Literally. I did love when Rachel said like the one thing my husband told me before I got on the show was like if you get an idol or an advantage, just use it. Right before she used the like safety without.
Well, so speaking of Rachel, if we want to segue into the tribal, I did have a question that I wrote down here. Is it will Blue resent Soul? But it seems like Soul's keeping a pretty tight lips on that he was the one to give Rachel. So I guess the better question is, do you think Blue will resent Rachel for kind of just ditching them?
I don't think they
Exited-
could.
Yeah.
I don't think they have a leg to stand on. Like, what can they say? Like, how dare you leave that tribal where we were gonna vote you out?
Yeah.
You made us vote out one of our
You-
own. That's
You had
messed
the
up.
easy vote. How could you?
What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I guess better
mean-
question, or yeah, no, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I feel like there could be definitely some like lasting resentment where it's like, okay, like I mean, at least from what we were hearing from Caroline was like, Rachel is one of the biggest threats in the game, which makes sense. She has like a lot of really good like social connections. She's amazing at puzzles. And like she could very easily get like a brain based like immunity challenge easily because
Mhm.
she dominates them. But I don't know if they'll be able to get that much of a platform to get Rachel out with so many Rachel supporters still in the game. Like for lack of a better word, I feel like it would be hard for them to justify like trying to get her out. So
Yeah,
Don't-
but for I think I don't know. Rachel seems to people are saying that Rachel's like this really big social threat, but then I'm trying to think of who her allies are. And there's Gata who left her out of the last vote.
this is
And then-
true.
She was on the bottom again this time. So I feel like she's really more of like a free agent because it seems like she doesn't have like a strong alliance with anyone. Like Annika was her number one and is gone.
I have
Yeah.
theory time, right? All right, you guys ready for this? Rachel is 47's Kelly from 45. You guys remember Kelly from 45?
Oh yeah.
She was like the
Rachel
glue of like
Guys.
yeah, literally. No, like
Yeah.
everyone was talking about how like Kelly, she's good with everyone. Like she's the glue of that original tribe of like Katura, Jake, and Bruce. Like how is she keeping them all together? And she was like she wasn't the merge boot, but she was like an early like big threat like
it's really after.
blindside. And
Yeah.
I feel like Rachel, maybe this next week we start to see more cross tribal alliances and maybe we see some of Rachel being a big piece of those alliances. and then she goes home like in a week or two. Thoughts?
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I that could definitely be true. I mean, I think I don't remember if it was I think it was 2 episodes ago, but it
Mhm.
seemed like when they first, like, got to the merge island together, it seemed like Rachel was really making connections with, like, a lot
Mm.
of the different women.
She was
Like,
part of
a
that
lot
like Caroline Teeny like trio of
yeah.
the social
And
hour.
yeah, I was just about to say, I was like, I think she was talking with Teenie. But yeah, I feel like there's a good chance that she could make, like, pretty loose alliances with a lot of people, and, like, will it stand the test of time? Probably not. But I don't know. I was also kind of surprised by how much Sam seemed to care that, like, Rachel was kind of out on her own in this tribal. So I wonder
Yeah.
if, like, they will kind of come back and be like, hey, like, that was really tough. Like, if you need, like, somebody to watch your back, like, we, like, are here. Because I
Wait,
feel like Sierra and Sam would
Yeah. That was
be.
very true.
I missed what part of the episode was that? Like I was Sam concerned? You
Yeah, like, it was at Tribal, I think, where he, like, kept on talking it was, like, when he first found out that, like, they
It
were
was
going to
the
Tribal, and he
Yeah,
was
when they
like,
were at
"Oh
the
my god, like,
reward.
Rachel's going to Tribal on her own, like, I really hope she doesn't get out."
Yeah,
So,
and he said that to like everyone too, which was interesting.
I
yeah.
completely missed or forgot about that. I mean, we're almost a
Yeah.
week after. At least I've seen it. Beck has actually. You're
We
fresh
just
off the episode,
yeah.
so.
So it kinda works out.
Mhm.
I'm here for the fresh
That's actually.
But
perspective.
Or yeah.
in terms of the Kelly theory,
Mhm.
um, I think that's more Caroline.
Don't say that.
Oh.
Oh.
I
Oh.
if you're talking about someone who's working as the glue to like keep a tribe together, that's
And
definitely
keep
been
that
more
alliance together.
Caroline's arc than Rachel's. Rachel seems to be like, I'm out for myself. Like this, like I just need like she seems to kind of be playing it as though like I just need to make it through another day.
Yeah.
Which she talked a lot about at this most recent tribal. Um, and I feel like her and Sierra, they might be strong, and her and Sam, but I think there will always be that like looming, like, we chose Andy over you. And like to consistently be reminded of that, I think probably sucks. But Caroline, her whole thing has kind of been like, I need to keep Blue together. Like, that's kind of what she seems to be doing. And I think, especially at this last tribal, we see that that really shined through. Like everyone was talking to her. She was the person who was deciding who was going home. She controlled basically Kyle's vote.
Yeah.
And like depending on which way she went. So I think it's definitely like I don't think Caroline will be going home soon. I
Mhm.
hope not anyway, because I like her. But I think like if like anyone was considered like the glue that held
Uh-huh.
something together, it would be her.
I think she also described herself as the glue early into the episode when she
She
was
did.
talking about, like, Tuku in general. She was like, "Yeah, I'm kind of like the glue that holds
In
everybody
like
together."
a confessional or openly?
It was in a confessional,
Okay.
but I think that's definitely interesting to think about where it's like, is she gonna continue to try to keep Tuku together after getting rid of Tiana, or is it all gonna kind of crash and burn with, like, the loss of, like, Kyle will probably try and distance himself and go
Yeah.
from there. So, I feel like that'll be
Yeah.
interesting.
I feel
I
like there's
also
gonna be a lot of eyes on Tugu this next
yeah.
episode because they were united in this vote. So everyone's like, okay, they're any cracks that any cracks that they're saying there are, they lied about.
Yeah,
Um
which
yeah,
is that true? Not really,
we'll
but
But
see.
with the actions and how it looks, people are definitely gonna be thinking it.
We
definitely.
are reaching we're at the 34-minute mark, so we should probably start to get to predictions. If you guys have any?
Oh my god.
I will say one thing that I thought was funny just on a rewatch was at the beginning of the episode, Andy was like talking to Soul, and he's like, "If I'm gonna trust you, I need to know how like the next three tribals are gonna go down." So and then later on, Andy tries to look for the advantage, is caught. Soul is the one to find it, and basically like take control and doesn't tell Andy about it. So I don't know if they're gonna keep working together or not. I assume probably so. Maybe like these next three tribals that will continue. But yeah, do you guys have any like we I feel like everyone says like someone they think could go home within like the next three episodes, but not like who we think are going home like tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Ooh, I don't. It's so hard because it's like, at least from like the last time I was on this episode, it was like, okay, like what tribe do you think is going home? And then like who out of that number is going home? But
Yeah.
now it's like you're thinking about like 12
The whole
people
thing.
who all
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
like a potential of going home, and it's like I don't know, like because it really truly feels like when you go in at the beginning of the episode, it is like a complete crapshoot of like who's gonna be safe, who's not gonna be safe. At least right now, when it's like there's still so many people. Um, I don't think they're gonna do a group split apart again. So I feel like it's just
No.
gonna be the one person with immunity again. I don't know. I almost want to say it might be like a surprise, and it might be Kyle, especially if he doesn't win
Oh
immunity.
no!
I'm sorry.
Why
I'm
would you
sorry.
say
But it's also like
that?
he's won immunity essentially twice, and like he's a pretty big threat, and he also technically just lost his number one. So
True. Like,
I hate to say it, but there is a chance that Kyle could be going home. At least, if not next episode, then probably soon.
I hate the like narrative of like, oh, this person's won so many individual immunities, he's gonna win everything. It's like
No,
that
no,
doesn't mean you're gonna get the jury votes. Like,
yeah.
it's so
Also,
annoying.
when you're at jury and they're like, "Oh, what have you done?" They're like, "Well, I won a bunch of immunity." It's like, okay, what else have you done? And it's like, if
Yeah.
you just won immunity, you're not gonna win.
I
Like,
hope Kyle's like play of like, guys, I'm just a dumb like country boy, like can remain. Um, I like I don't know. Looking at I have the players pulled up right now, and I'm just gonna throw it out. I'm gonna say Gabe. I think Gabe's going. I don't really have much like analysis to back it up. It's just based off vibes. It's just based off
mm,
of gut feeling.
I mean, there already was a lot of like building resentment towards him, but
yeah.
I don't know if that would be put into action. I hope it
I
does.
I definitely agree. I So for me, here's my thought process. I think
Okay.
someone from yellow or blue is going to go home, and that's how I'm
Mm,
narrowing it down at
mm,
first. Because blue's gonna either be seen as a threat and they're gonna want one of them gone, or Andy's gonna cause yellow to crack and it's gonna implode on itself. With that said, I think the most to me, who I feel like is going to go home, I think is Sierra.
whoa.
I
Oh,
I think like this girls alliance is gonna blow up. Clearly like no one really cares about it that much besides like I think like
Jamie.
Teeny and um maybe Rachel, and I think that's kind of it. Because everyone else seems to be really closely aligned with some man. So it feels like
Yeah. The women.
um
Hmm,
yeah, I don't think it's happening. Um and I feel like people are gonna look at like Sam and Sierra, there's gonna be like some
that's
fucked shit
true.
where it's like, oh my god,
Showmance.
guys, it's gonna be one of those like crazy things where people are gonna be like, guys, Sierra's playing such a great game, and she's gonna be like sitting there like literally like staring at like a chicken or something, like doing nothing. Because I feel like that happens so much. Like, guys, the person's a huge threat, and then they're just like not.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I think it's gonna be Sierra.
to be
Is
fair,
my guess.
I feel like on the island at that time, you could look at Sierra and be like, she's a huge threat. And the only reason why she doesn't look like a huge threat now is because it's being edited in a way where like the editors know she's going like first merge boot or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which who knows? Maybe that's how they're choosing to edit or not. I hope you're right. That would be great for fantasy prospects for me. And I did when I threw
Oh,
out Gabe
Andy.
there. When I threw out Gabe there, I completely forgot about the Andy revenge tour that could possibly happen.
True. True.
I
I
think
will.
I would.
something's gonna happen that's gonna cause like a giant crack. And with Sam and Sierra already bickering constantly, they seem to like not be on the same page all of the time. And I think like if Andy shines a spotlight on that, I definitely think there could be some cracks shown. And I think if you also expose the possibility of a woman's alliance, you could get a lot more eyes on Sierra.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And
Um,
that is my prediction, but we'll see.
One thing I forgot to mention, it's kind of outside of the game, but I was watching Rob Has a Podcast, and I did ask them about in the chat about the there was no double boot. And Rob actually they pulled up my comment, and Rob brought up a very good point
Roll the
that
clip. Roll the clip.
Roll the clip.
I'll put a link of the clip below. I didn't prepare to like play it in the podcast this week, but
Boo,
um,
tomato.
he did bring up a good point that Wendell and Bryce their like live event was moved back a week, and people are now thinking that we're actually going to get 14 episodes for this season instead of 13. Because
Ooh.
I said, "What are your thoughts on the inevitable double boot episode?" And they're like, "Well, actually, seems like we might not have a double boot episode this season," which I'm actually very happy about because I feel like that can get very cramped.
Yeah.
And I was expecting like a player like Tiana, who's kind of, or maybe even Sierra, who are under edited, to be that like first boot of the double boot and are kind of just like glossed over.
100.
So yeah, fun news there. Um,
So
you got,
exciting.
do you guys have any other like final predictions for tomorrow, or anything else to add from the episode?
Somebody's gonna start a fire. Like
Boom.
not even like a bonfire, just like like an entire like
Whoa.
yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be crazy. No, I don't know.
I'm ready to see this because for the first time, like yes, they like all of them have voted before in a
Mhm.
tribal with
Right.
Rome, but that was just so easy. There was a
Yeah.
consensus. This time, I don't think we have that anymore.
No.
It's definitely going to be a lot more split, a lot more scrambling, and I think the key is to be one of the people that slip through the cracks. And I think
Mhm.
Teeny, Soul, and Genevieve are going to be like those three that kind of slip through the cracks because I think it's going to be like we're gonna like I think this idea of like Tuku strong that like is being perpetuated, I think is definitely coming back to bite them. And then with Andy gunning for Gata, I can only see like this kind of like imploding.
Yeah, I
That
will say it almost reminds me of season 45 where it was like well, actually, never mind. Ignore me. I was gonna say it kind of reminds me of when like Caleb and Emily like first got post merge, but then I was like, no, Caleb was almost immediately voted out. So that doesn't. Yeah.
and Emily
Um.
not far behind either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no. But I feel like I think you're right. Like with the two prominent tribes and both of them kind of having these like blistering issues, kind of showing up on both sides. I think it's gonna be the limelight's gonna be shown on those two, and it's gonna be a battle of like the two most prominent tribes, while like the red tribe is gonna kind of skirt
I
underneath the surface.
I think a better comparison could be 44 with Jam Jam,
Yeah.
Caroline, and Carson. I don't, Beck, I don't know if you caught that
I didn't
season.
know.
Yeah, 45 was the first. Okay, yeah. So they basically were like a three of their original tribe, and they kind of skirted all the way up to the end, like with the two other
The final
tribes, just like,
four, all three of
yeah.
them.
So maybe Genevieve, Soul, Teeny, final four lock. Who knows?
I mean, they seem a lot
Well,
less put together than in 44 because in 44 the three of them were like, okay, we're sticking together, like, and they were able to kind of run things from the shadows and run interference back and forth and slowly
yeah.
dwindle the two other tribes.
I feel like
Um,
Genevieve and Soul have like a chaotic alliance.
yeah,
And I feel like there's a chance that they could pull Teeny in, but I'm
I
not
think
sure.
Soul's big is due for a big episode. The sneak peek had him talking about his secret soul alliances or something that he called it, like the SSA or like secret soul agents. Something. It was something wild.
The Secret Soul Agents. Well, excited to
Um,
see that.
yeah.
It's my favorite Kim Possible theme. Let's get into this.
We're we're coming up on 45 minutes here, so I feel like this is probably a
Yes.
good time to wrap up the episode. As fun as it was. Special election day episode again. If
Yes.
you need
Everyone
any little
vote.
everyone vote, and if you after the fact, after you voted in your home watching the results, waiting for the results, if you need a little break for a little under an hour just to like step away, come listen to the podcast. I mean, by now you've already listened to the whole thing, but yeah,
You can re-listen.
Re-listen to the pod.
listen
God knows,
again,
election day is gonna be
Listen again.
long.
listen
So-
again, like it, subscribe.
Subscribe.
Share with all your friends.
Exactly.
No, but so yeah, so thank you for everyone watching. Thank you, Beck, for coming on very short
Yes.
notice.
Beck, thank you so much.
I mean,
Oh my gosh, perfect
Oh,
timing.
oh my god, oh my god.
Fireworks, nothing better. It was great.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here always. Thanks for having me on
Yeah.
because it's been a blast. Always.
Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
well,
Your
with
input is
that-
always very much desired.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Yeah.
With that, thank you everyone for watching. We will see you very soon. Oh wait, final announcement. I forgot to say this. After this episode, we will be doing the mid-season winner picks. I'm going to explain more about how that works on next episode. Might try and go a little more details of how the scoring works. So yeah, something to look forward to. Completely forgot about that till just now. But with that being said, now
Stay
the
tuned.
episode,
Ian.
yeah, stay tuned. Next time on the Michael and Ellis show.
Yeah. We got shit going on.
Yeah.
Shit's gonna go
Um,
down.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that being said, now we have officially gotten everything out of the way. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Goodbye.
I like that.